Hello, everyone. Good day, and welcome to AARP's presentation. My name is Mike Barwig. I am an AARP Nebraska volunteer, and I'm also a member of the West Omaha Community Action Team. Today, we have Jennifer Meyer, who is with the Red Cross, giving us a presentation, Be Red Cross Ready for Tornadoes and Floods. There are around 1,200 tornadoes each year, causing $400 million in damage. And floods are the most frequent natural disaster in the United States, with damages in the billions. The American Red Cross will be providing education on how you can prepare for, respond to, and recover from those two local hazards during this Be Red Cross Ready presentation. Jennifer is the Disaster Program Manager for the Red Cross Response Territory that covers Northwest Iowa and Northeast Nebraska. She's been in this position with the Red Cross for over a year and previously been involved with the Red Cross for over 10 years as a community volunteer leader and chapter board member. She has been a trained weather spotter for the National Weather Service, as involved in the local scout troop and venturing crew. In her spare time, Jennifer enjoys spending time with her family, camping, hiking, and home improvement projects. So let's welcome Jennifer and hear what she has to say about being ready for tornadoes and floods.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mike, and the AARP of Nebraska for inviting us to give an overview of how to be prepared. And today, we're going to talk a little bit about tornadoes and floods and how to be prepared for each of those. So let's move on to the next slide. And we're going to talk a little bit about tornadoes first. And just like Mike said, each year, approximately 1,200 tornadoes occur in the United States. These tornadoes cause 1,500 injuries and about 70 deaths. Most of those deaths are by flying debris. These twisters also cause about $400 million in damage. Tornado alley is a term to reference a large area in the central United States where tornadoes are most common. However, tornadoes can and do happen throughout the United States. Today, we're going to discuss how to protect yourself, your household, and property in the event of a tornado. We'll talk about what you should do before a tornado and what action to take during a tornado. But first, let's start by understanding what a tornado is. Tornadoes are columns of air that are rapidly and violently rotating with wind speeds as high as 300 miles per hour. Typically, tornadoes move at about 10 to 20 miles per hour, but they can travel up to 60 miles per hour. When they touch down, their paths can be as much as a mile wide and 50 miles long. Tornadoes can completely destroy homes and buildings, debark or uproot trees, and flip objects as big as trucks and mobile homes. This explains why most tornado damage is caused by high winds or impact from flying debris. Damage can range from light to catastrophic, and injuries can be minor to life-threatening. Even lower-rated tornadoes can cause fatalities. A tornado may disrupt transportation, power, water, gas, communications, and other services in its direct path and neighboring areas. Tornadoes start in thunderstorms, sometimes called a supercell, and often come with hail, heavy rain, and flash flooding. Generally, the bigger and more powerful the supercell, the more destructive the tornado. Although severe tornadoes are most common in the plain states, they can and do happen anywhere. Tornado safety depends on understanding tornadoes, staying informed about conditions, and acting quickly. Weather forecasters use two terms to describe the potential for tornadoes: a watch and a warning. One means that a tornado is possible, and the other means that a tornado is happening now or is imminent, which means it will happen very soon. A tornado watch means that a tornado is possible. So when it's possible, I kind of liken it to a recipe. When it's in a watch, it means that you have all the ingredients there to make a tornado, but we don't have the actual finished product yet. So all the ingredients are there to make a tornado, but we do not have a tornado. So when a tornado watch is issued, know where you will take shelter if that weather gets worse. Stay tuned to a NOAA weather radio to know when warnings are issued. A tornado warning means that a tornado is occurring or will occur soon. I liken a warning to when you make your final recipe and it comes out of the oven, it's fresh and ready to eat. That is a warning. It is ready to go. All the ingredients are there and they have created a tornado. So a tornado warning means that tornado is occurring or will occur soon, and there is a serious threat to life and property for those in that path of the tornado. You should seek a safe place immediately. Once you receive a warning of a tornado, you don't have a whole lot of time. On the average, tornado warnings are issued 11 minutes prior to the event, but warning times can vary greatly and may be much less. It's also important to know that you may not always receive an official tornado alert in your area. You may need to use your judgment to seek shelter when you see or hear a dangerous storm advancing. So now let's spend a little time talking about how you're preparing and about your safe shelter place. In your home, you usually seek shelter in an area like a basement, a storm cellar, or an interior room on the lowest floor. That is the safest place to be. Your space should not have any windows. If you are in a high rise, if you live or work there, you may not have enough time to go to the lowest floor. So you should move to the center of the building on the floor you are on. Again, look for a location with no windows. If you live in a mobile home, you should identify a safe shelter place in a nearby sturdy building and the closest tornado shelter. No mobile home is ever safe during a tornado. You should also ask about tornado plans for your workplace, as well as your children's schools and daycare centers. Every building has different safe places, and you should be familiar with where they are. So far, we've focused on how you can prepare and protect yourself and members of your household. There are some things you can do to get your home ready for a tornado as well. Some things that you can do while tending upkeep of your landscaping is remove anything that can become a projectile in strong winds. For example, debris or loose items in your yard, diseased or damaged tree limbs that could easily break off. And you may also want to make a list of items to bring inside when a storm is coming. You can also consider installing storm shutters to cover windows. They can be closed quickly and provide the safest protection for windows. If possible, work with a professional to reinforce your home structure. They may recommend that you add anchors, clips, or straps to strengthen the connections of wood frame buildings. They may also suggest that you could reinforce masonry walls, and you could strengthen your garage doors to improve wind resistance, particularly double-wide garage doors. This is because standard garage doors are often damaged or destroyed by flying debris, allowing the strong winds to enter. As winds apply pressure to the walls, the roof can be lifted and the rest of the house can easily follow. In the time leading up to or right before a tornado, your actions depend on how much time you have. If a tornado watch is issued, you may have a few moments for last-minute preparations before seeking shelter. Quickly check your disaster kit and keep it nearby. Prepare to shelter quickly. Inform members of your household of the potential for bad weather. Bring your companion animals indoors and keep direct control over them. If you have to use a local shelter, make sure you know the routes and consider moving closer to that location at this point. If you have time, Move or secure the things on your list of outdoor items or anything else that can be picked up by the wind. Close storm shutters if you have them, and listen to local area radio, NOAA radio, or TV for the latest information and updates. So, is a tornado watch always issued before a tornado warning? Well, the answer is no. Turbulent weather changes fast, and tornadoes can form very quickly. We can't always assume we will have more than a few minutes advance notice. That's why it is so important that you don't wait for a tornado warning to be issued if you see any of the following tornado danger signs. Those include dark, often greenish clouds, which are caused by hail, clouds of debris, and a thunderstorm cloud low to the ground, known as a wall cloud. If a tornado warning is issued, take shelter immediately, being sure to remember the basics of a safe shelter place. Find a small windowless interior room, bathroom, or hallway on the lowest level of a sturdy building. Avoid areas with glass windows and wide-span roofs, such as auditoriums, cafeterias, large hallways, or shopping malls. No space in a mobile home or manufactured home, even if it is tied down, is safe during a tornado. Move to a shelter or a sturdy structure. If you are in a high-rise building, you may not have enough time to go to the lowest floor. Move to a hallway in the center of the floor you are on. If a tornado is imminent and you are outdoors or cannot quickly walk to the nearest shelter, immediately drive to the closest shelter. Once the tornado is past, check for injuries, then let friends and family know that you're safe. Be prepared for the heavy rain and strong winds that may continue after the tornado has passed. Use extra caution while driving. Obstacles, wind, rain, and traffic lights that are out make driving challenging. Wherever you are, watch your step to avoid broken glass and sharp debris. Stay out of damaged buildings until authorities say it is safe to enter. Continue to take care of yourself and loved ones. Especially if you are uncertain of the water quality, use bottled water. Check the refrigerator food for spoilage. If in doubt, throw it out. Pay attention to how you and your loved ones are experiencing and handling stress. Help people who need additional assistance, including infants, older adults, those without transportation, and individuals with functional or access needs, and the people who care for them. If you have to evacuate, only return home once local authorities have said it is safe to do so. And remember your pets too. After storms, the number of animal injuries increase due to debris. So watch animals closely and keep them under your direct control. If you encounter an abandoned pet, use caution. The combination of confused dogs and stressed people increases the incidence of dog bites. Be sure to stay informed by listening to local news or a NOAA weather radio for updated information and instructions. We will now discuss how you can be prepared for a flood. Flooding occurs when water overflows onto land that is normally dry. Flooding is a threat to some part of the United States and its territories nearly every day of the year. Floods are always dangerous to anyone and anything in their path. Various situations can trigger flooding. Hurricanes can bring heavy rains and storm surge. Rapidly melting snow can overwhelm rivers. There can be extended periods of rain or sudden intense rainfall, and sometimes dams or levees can fail. Flooding can also result when rain, snowmelt, or storm runoff overwhelm structures built to contain or control large volumes of water. Floodwaters often rise rapidly, leaving little time to react and get to a safe place. Your safety depends on understanding floods, staying informed about conditions, and acting quickly. Weather forecasters use the terms flood watch, flood warning, and flash flood warning to describe flooding potential. A flood watch means a flood is possible. A flood warning means that flooding is already happening or will happen soon, and that you should take immediate precautions and get to higher ground. Flash flood warning means that flash flooding is imminent or already occurring. You should take immediate precautions and get to higher ground. Floodwaters can be powerful. Every year in the United States, floods kill about 93 people and can cause billions of dollars worth of damage. Rising waters damage land, buildings, roads, and other property. Just 6 inches of fast-moving water can knock down an adult, and 12 inches can sweep away most cars. Aside from the immediate dangers of floodwaters, floods leave behind additional risks. Flooded areas are often covered with mud, silt, and sharp or heavy debris. Flooding can trigger landslides, and water sources in flooded areas can be contaminated with hazardous materials such as fuel, untreated sewage, pesticides, and dangerous building materials. People can become ill with bouts of diarrhea and respiratory illnesses when drinking water, sanitation, and electricity are unavailable for days or weeks. Exposure to flood water increases the risk of infections to open wounds and mosquito-borne diseases. Floods can also leave behind molds, which can continue to cause damage and make people sick long after the flood. Mold can start to grow on a damp surface within 24 to 48 hours. Mold will continue to grow until steps are taken to eliminate the source of the moisture and effectively deal with the mold problem. Now, we'll discuss the additional things you can do to be ready before a flood threatens your community. At this point, we hope that you and your household have taken steps to prepare for a disaster. You've collected essential disaster supplies, created a household disaster plan, and have become informed about preparedness in general. If you or someone in your household has access or functional needs, you've created a personal support network, practice with them, and are able to quickly provide instructions to others on how to assist. Be sure to have at least a 7-day supply of prescription medications and medical supplies, along with copies of prescriptions, list of all medications and dosages, list of allergies, a list of dietary restrictions. If you have a service animal, be sure to include food, water, identification tags, and supplies. Include battery backup power for power-dependent mobility devices, oxygen, and other assistive technology needs. First, add to your disaster kit. Consider tools and supplies for securing your home, rain gear, entertainment items, and sleeping bags for evacuation. Tailor your plan for what you and your household will do during a flood. This includes your pets. Learn your community's evacuation plan and identify several posted routes to leave the area. Plan ahead for accessible transportation that you may need for evacuation. If you don't have your own form of transportation, plan for how you will get to a safe place. Know where you will meet up members of your household if you are separated. Know where you will stay if you must evacuate. Look for hotels and emergency shelters in your local area and along your evacuation routes. Before a flood, it is also a good idea to place any important documents, such as insurance policies or birth certificates and other valuables, in a waterproof container to help them dry and be easily accessible. Consider using fire and water-resistant safes or a bank safe deposit box. Also, consider saving electronic copies or pictures of documents. Finally, be sure you can stay informed by having access to NOAA weather broadcasts. If you don't have a battery-powered or hand-cranked radio, please consider it. It is very common to experience power, cellular, and internet outages before, during, and after a disaster. If needed, be sure to get a weather radio, with text display and a flashing alert to stay informed. You may also sign up in advance to receive emergency notifications from your local emergency services. So far, we've focused on how you can prepare and protect yourself and members of your household. There are some things that you can do to get your home ready for a flood. If you live in a floodplain, you can work with professionals to raise and reinforce your home to make damage less likely during a flood. Some other actions that prepare your home include raising your furnace, water heater, and electric panel to floors that are less likely to be flooded. An undamaged water heater may be your best source of fresh water after a flood. Installing check valves in plumbing to prevent flood water from backing up into the drains of your home. Sealing walls and basements with waterproofing compounds to avoid seepage through cracks. And learning how to shut off the gas main in your home. Be sure to keep a wrench handy for that purpose. You should also consider buying flood insurance, as homeowners insurance doesn't typically cover flood damage. When a flood is predicted, even if forecasters have not confirmed which exact areas it may impact, it is vital to prepare to evacuate quickly. You should also check and replenish your disaster supplies for your household and your pets. Make sure you bring your pets indoors and secure your important documents, and continuously monitor local area radio, NOAA radio, or TV news for updates. Always follow advice and orders from local emergency officials. And if you have time, you can fill plastic bottles with clean water for drinking. You can fill bathtubs and sinks with water for flushing the toilet or washing floors or clothing. You can fill your vehicle's gas tank in case evacuation is ordered. And unplug electronics and small appliances. Then, if you still have some time, you can move furniture and valuables to higher floors inside your home, and turn off utilities only if you are ordered to do so by your authorities. Be aware that if you do shut off your gas main, a professional must turn it back on. So during a flood, your first priority should be to get to higher ground. Stay away from underpasses, dips, low spots, canyons, washes, and riverbanks that can quickly become flooded. Do not walk through floodwater just because 6 inches of fast flowing water can knock you right over. Do not drive through flooded areas. The most important thing to remember is turn around, don't drown. It is almost impossible to determine how deep the water is in an area experiencing heavy rains or flooding, and just 12 inches of fast flowing water can sweep away a car. It simply isn't worth the risk. If you're caught in a vehicle on a flooded road with rapidly rising waters, get out of the vehicle quickly and move to higher ground. Avoid floodwater and do not allow children to play in or near it. Floodwater may be contaminated with sewage or chemicals and contain dangerous insects or animals. Once the rain stops or the floodwaters seem to be going down, check for injuries and let friends and family know that you're safe. Of course, like we've said before, when driving, avoid flooded roads. Turn around, don't drown. Stay out of any building that has water around it. When inside your home, don't walk across a sagging floor that could collapse. Watch for rodents, snakes, spiders, and insects that may have entered your home. Avoid pushing or leaning against walls and furniture that have been damaged. If the weather is dry, open windows and doors for the fresh air and to help your home dry out. This is important when dealing with mold, a serious health risk following a flood. It is particularly harmful to children under 12, anyone with asthma, allergies, or other breathing conditions, and people with weakened immune systems. Continue to take care of yourself and your loved ones. Of course, like we've said before, if you are uncertain of the quality of your water, use bottled water. And of course, check that refrigerated food for spoilage. If in doubt, throw it out. And of course, pay attention to how you and your loved ones are experiencing and handling stress. Help those who need additional assistance. And if you have to evacuate, only return home once local authorities have said it's safe to do so. Of course, remember your pets After storms, the number of animal injury increases due to the debris on the ground and around you. So please make sure you watch your animals and keep them under your direct control. Be sure to stay informed by listening to local news or a NOAA weather radio for updated information and instructions. If you've had to evacuate and when the local authorities say it's safe to return to your neighborhood to inspect your home for the first time, there are some general things you should keep in mind. Consider whether or not you should bring children. It may be unsafe for them, and seeing the damage may add to the stress they are already experiencing. It may be better to leave them with a trusted relative or friend for the first time you return home. Keep away from loose or down power lines and report them immediately to the power company. Once you get to your home, you should be sure to wear protective gear, including gloves and boots, eye protection, a dust mask or respirator, and a hard hat if you have one. If conditions are safe and you use protective gear, you can make temporary repairs to cover holes, brace walls, and remove debris. If the power is out, use a flashlight. Do not use any open flame, including candles. If you have a generator, be familiar with the operating instructions and take precautions to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning, electrocution, and fire. You can find additional information about generators and proper use on the American Red Cross website. If you smell natural gas or propane gas or hear a hissing noise, leave immediately and get far away. Call the fire department once you reach safety. And finally, take pictures of any damage and save all receipts associated with cleanup and repairs, as you will likely need them for insurance purposes. Recovery from a disaster can be a long process, and you will need to learn more about how to clean up, including the supplies you'll need and how to make repairs. You can go to the American Red Cross Disaster Relief and Recovery Services website or download the emergency app to learn more about how to clean up, assess your situation, make repairs, and access resources. The American Red Cross Emergency app, just like I mentioned before, gives people instant access to customizable weather alerts, safety tips, and preparedness information for 14 different emergencies, all in one free and easy to use app. Family members and friends across the country can help each other stay safe and connected through the app's customizable emergency alerts and content on what to do before, during, and after disasters, regardless of where they live. The app provides expert advice on what to do in case of a tornado, hurricane, earthquake, flood, thunderstorm, wildfire, winter storm, and other disasters. People can use the Make a Plan feature to create an emergency plan for their household so everyone knows what to do and where to go if a disaster strikes. The emergency app is available for free in app stores for smartphones, tablets, and wearables, and it also can be found by searching for American Red Cross or by going to redcross.org/apps. And thank you for joining us today. I appreciate your time, and hopefully you've gotten a lot out of the presentations about tornadoes and floods and how to be prepared.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. That was very informative. And one thing I might add, being part of AARP, of course, we have many elder citizens in our group. And I'm just thinking, it's probably going to take a lot of them a lot longer, even to go down a flight of stairs to go to the basement. So they need to be prepared sooner and not wait to do those things to find shelter.
You are absolutely right, Mike. And in many situations, being aware and cognizant of what's going on, knowing when a watch has been issued is really, really helpful so that they can be prepared and ready to go. If you need someone to assist you, make sure that they're alerted as well too, so they can help you to get to where you need once a warning is issued.
Yeah, much better to be in a safe place earlier, or even if it ends up being unnecessary, than waiting too long to get there.
You are absolutely right. Definitely.
So one question I have for you was, when we had the big flooding in Nebraska and Iowa in 2019, what role did the Red Cross play during that flooding?
Yeah, the floods of 2019 really hit a lot of places and just was devastating to many areas in Nebraska as well as Iowa and many other Midwestern states here. And the American Red Cross, we worked with community partners. We provided safe, dry shelter for many families until they could return to their homes. Our volunteers served hot meals as well as water and snacks to those in the affected areas. And we assessed damage in those areas impacted and distributed cleanup kits like mops and gloves and tarps and those types of things to help people to clean up and get back to their homes. We also provided first aid. We gave comfort and emotional support. And in some circumstances where it was truly needed, we were able to provide some financial assistance as well too. And then on top of that, we also met with families to help them to find a good recovery plan and to help them to move forward in their recovery. And all of this work was made possible through all of our wonderful volunteers that help us out and to help out our neighbors in need.
And speaking of volunteers, how can people get involved in helping during times of disaster like this?
Well, the best time to start to help is actually now by volunteering as a Red Cross volunteer. And for those who are interested, you can go online to redcross.org. And there is a tab there that you can get more information on becoming a volunteer. We really encourage everyone to start now and get trained so that you can be ready to go to help those and those of our neighbors in times of need.
Very good. Thanks again, Jennifer. It's been a pleasure and very informative. And on behalf of AARP Nebraska, we'd like to sincerely thank you for this presentation. It was very informative, like I said. And for our viewing audience, if you enjoyed this program, we would like you to like the post and share it on your Facebook to let others know about this presentation. Thanks again, Jennifer.
Well, thank you, Mike, and thank you to the AARP of Nebraska.
Our pleasure.